Most people won't be the first to have lived in the house that they now call home. Even when previous owners and letting agents do their best to try to remove any sign of the previous occupants, some things are still left behind. These secrets can remain undisturbed for years until an unsuspecting owner tries their hand at home improvements. Other times, the owners know about the unusual belongings hidden in the house, but they keep them hidden to the outside world. These are 5 disturbing things found in people's homes. Number 5. Throughout the early modern age, witchcraft was seen as a serious problem through Europe and North America. Tens of thousands of people were put to death for witchcraft between 1400 and 1800, with Europe's last supposed witch being tried and executed in Switzerland in 1782. There have been many theories as to what sparked this sudden paranoia, with everything from difficult weather conditions to economic problems being blamed. Whatever the cause, many ordinary people went out of their way to try to protect themselves and their families from the supposedly deadly curses of witches and other magical beings. The remains of one such practice was found as builders began redeveloping a site in Greenwich in 2004. The builders found a salt-glazed jug stamped with the face of Cardinal Roberto Berarmino, buried upside down approximately 1.5 meters below the ground. When it was shaken, a liquid could be heard inside, and the builders gave the discovery to the Greenwich Maritime Trust. It was the world's first complete known witch bottle. Witch bottles are surprisingly common in the United Kingdom. Around 200 have been unearthed and uncovered, and they're usually found under floors, under doorways, or in chimneys of old buildings. However, their contents are either thrown away or eroded before researchers have the chance to examine them. The fact that this one was completely intact gave researchers real insight into witchcraft beliefs in the 16th and 17th centuries. An X-ray of the bottle showed pins and nails stuck into the neck of the bottle, indicating it had been buried upside down. Further analysis showed the pins and nails were piercing a leather heart. There also appeared to be fingernail clippings, navel fluff, and hair, and the liquid inside with it all was urine. This mixture matches most recipes for witch bottles, which are believed to throw a witch's spell back at them. The urine represented the waterworks of the witch, and the nails were supposed to aggravate the witch when she passed water. Scientists were actually able to determine quite a lot about the person who created the device. A product of nicotine was found in the urine, suggesting it came from a smoker. The nail clippings were found to be manicured, indicating the person they belonged to didn't work with their hands, and they were likely a person of some social standing. Number 4. Hundreds of thousands of bombs were dropped on the United Kingdom by Axis forces during World War II. The majority of these exploded when they dropped, killing tens of thousands, but some have survived undiscovered to this day. It's not actually uncommon for these unexploded bombs to be found in hotspots such as London and on mainland Europe, still lying dormant more than 70 years later. Between 2006 and 2008, 15,000 items ranging from unexploded bombs to mortar rounds were found on construction sites as builders dug foundations. While these bombs are usually unlikely to explode, they still pose a risk to the public. They're taken seriously and cause disruption as explosion experts deal with the bomb. It was this disruption that 44-year-old Stephen Sin thought of when he found an unexploded World War II bomb in the basement of his London home. He and his wife, Janice Hardy, had been living in the house for 15 years when Stephen discovered the explosive while cleaning out the basement. Stephen left the bomb where it was, and after informing his wife about it over dinner that evening, decided to do some research. They were able to find markings on the bottom of the explosive and found a picture of a German incendiary bomb on the internet that matched the bomb Stephen had found. The 40-centimeter device was manufactured in Germany in 1936 and was originally made for the Spanish Civil War. As it was already late into the evening, the couple didn't want to contact the police straight away. Janice cited a then recent Mail Online article that told the story of another similar-looking bomb. On that occasion, it had taken police several hours to remove the device, and the road had been closed to keep residents safe. The couple didn't want to disturb their neighbors and instead chose to move the device into their backyard before going to bed. It wasn't until the following afternoon that the family finally contacted police. Thankfully, police were able to remove the device in just 2 hours, and a spokeswoman told reporters it was not thought to have posed a threat. Number 3. A World War II Army tank was found in the cellar of a German man's suburban home by police in 2015. Prosecutors searched the 78-year-old man's house for stolen Nazi art. It's illegal in Germany to own or trade Nazi memorabilia, except for scholarly or museum purposes. They discovered a statue in his garden, which appeared to be the missing Arno Brecker statue, though the owner claimed it was only a copy. No other art was found. Instead, prosecutors discovered a huge stash of wartime weapons in the cellar. With the focus now on the weapons, another search took place a month later. A 40-ton Panther-style tank was found in the underground hall, along with an 8.8-centimeter anti-aircraft gun and multiple other weapons. The man's lawyer claimed both the tank and the anti-aircraft gun were demilitarized and didn't break German War Weapons Control Acts, though police still removed the tank to properly investigate. An independent expert later determined the tank had not been properly decommissioned. Almost 200 soldiers took 9 hours to remove the tank using a vehicle specifically designed to move immobile tanks from the battlefield. In the process, the front suspension of the tank was damaged, and the owner later claimed he would sue for damages. The owner hadn't kept his possessions a secret. During severe snow in 1978, he used the vehicle to clear snow in the area, though the mayor put it down to him being eccentric and an old man. Number 2. In 2012, plans to build a new luxury apartment complex in Harris County, Texas, caused concerns for the locals. One of the voices speaking out against the development was a 58-year-old Mary Cerruti, whose home was directly in the middle of the planned complex. Unfortunately for Mary, the building went ahead without her permission. Her small, one-story home was cut off from the rest of the community. Her car was often blocked in by construction work around her, and at one point her water was shut off. By 2015, mail was piling up on her porch. Her garden was overgrown and a window had been broken. Her neighbors grew concerned enough to contact police, and when the bank foreclosed her home in fall of that year, a missing persons report was filed. Police searched the house, finding many of Mary's beloved cats dead, but there was no sign of any disturbance. Mary lived alone after her divorce, and her closest relatives lived miles away. She lived a relatively secluded life, made even worse by the construction work going on around her home. Few people walked past the house, and she was rarely seen by her neighbors, even before the disappearance. Animal control also entered the house to deal with the stray cats that Mary had taken to feeding. The house was bought at an auction that same year, and the owners found photos Mary had taken that documented the building work going on around where she called her little castle. She also made notes in sort of a diary, but it gave no clues as to where she had gone. Mary's whereabouts remained a mystery until 2017. New owners bought the property and began to explore the attic. There, they found a gap in a wall, and in the space, a jumble of bones and a pair of red glasses. It wasn't immediately clear that the remains belonged to Mary. The body was now just skeletal after being eaten by rats, and Mary's dental records couldn't be found to compare the bones to. Eventually, an analysis of Mary's jaw during her life and a DNA sample supplied by a cousin led investigators to confirm this was the missing woman. It's still not clear what really happened to Mary. No cause of death could be determined, but it was hypothesized that Mary had been in the attic when the floorboards broke and she fell trapped in the space. Number 1. In 2010, it was announced that the mummified head of a French king was found in the attic of a retired tax collector. King Henry IV was known as the Good King due to his role in brokering peace between the Protestants and Catholics in France. This wasn't popular with everybody, and he was assassinated by Catholic extremists in 1610 and buried in the Basilica of Saint Denis in Paris. That should have been the end of the story, but during the French Revolution, his grave was exhumed. According to historical legend, the revolutionaries did not only behead living monarchs, but deceased ones too, and the good king was allegedly posthumously beheaded in 1793. What happened next is lost to history, until it was bought at an auction for 3 francs in 1919. The new owner, a photographer named Joseph-Émile Bourdaise, insisted that he had the head of the good king, though he could not convince his friends. He held on to the head until 1953, when Jacques Bellinger bought it from his wife. He spent 5,000 francs, the equivalent of a few $1,000s in today's money. It appears Bellinger kept the mummified head in a box in his attic for decades until investigators tracked it down. Philippe Charlier was brought on board to confirm whether or not this was really the head of King Henry IV. His team used a variety of methods to compare the skull to contemporary portraits of the king. They were able to identify a mole over his nostril and a healed facial stab wound that matched a wound Henry suffered from a failed assassination attempt. The mummy also had a pierced right ear, a broken nose, and traces of mustache hairs. All this, the researchers said, proved this was the head of the good king. The head was donated to Prince Louis de Bourbon, the current head of the Bourbon house, who agrees with researchers' conclusions and hopes to reunite it with the other remains of his ancestor. However, this isn't the conclusion agreed on by everyone. Later DNA analysis called Charlier's conclusions into question. Not much DNA could be recovered from the mummified head, but what was analyzed could not be matched to Henry's direct descendants. Those who believe this is the head of the French king claim breaks in the family tree are likely, considering the amount of generations that have passed. Whether this is truly the head of King Henry IV remains up for debate, but it's still creepy to think it was lying in a box in someone's attic. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.